What's up, algoriters? Today is Wednesday, Hump Day, and I'm here to welcome you to Celebrity Court, where fame meets the law and no headline escapes judgment. I'm your host and judge, Al Reynolds, here to preside over today's most jaw-dropping celebrity cases. From courtroom battles to public scandals, we'll unpack the truth, dissect the drama, and hold everyone accountable, whether you're famous or not. So get ready, because we need for you to help lay down the verdict. All right, joining me tonight are my legal beagles. First up, we have humorist law, Sean Carter. Sean Carter, welcome back to Celebrity Court.
Good to be here and good to be sober, which is rare considering the cases we have. So I'm happy to be here sober.
Well, you got to be sober considering what we're covering. All right, don't forget his emoji is a clown emoji. Joining him tonight is our fiery civil attorney, Shatan Turner, straight from the White House. Welcome back to Celebrity Court.
Glad to be back, Your Honor. I had a wonderful time, and I dropped your name in those circles, and it went well.
Tell me, what was it like? I'm very upset because, I've been going to the White House quite a bit. I don't know how my invitation got missed. How was it? What did you do? What did they eat? Who was there?
The spread was incredible. So the party that I went to was at 11 o'clock in the morning, and that did not mean that there was not champagne flowing and wine flowing, and pretty much anything that you wanted to eat was there. There were a lot of people I knew from South Carolina that was there, and I'm not sure if this is why they served the shrimp and grits, but I was there for it. It was delicious, and there was all kind of pastries.
All right, don't forget to throw that fire emoji in the chat for Counselor Turner. And last but not least, our attorney from Florida, straight out of Fort Lauderdale, Florida, Jason Weiss. Counselor Weiss, welcome back to Celebrity Court.
Thank you, Your Honor. Pleasure to be here.
All right. Court is now in session. Oh, it's about to get juicy. Let's get to it. First up, Real Housewives of Potomac star Caren Huger's DUI trial has the internet buzzing. Body cam footage shows Caren slurring her words and stumbling during the traffic stop. But her defense team insists there's more to the story that you just don't know. Was this a moment of poor judgment, or is Caren being unfairly targeted because of her celebrity status? Bailiff, let's check this out.
Accusations will soon learn her fate. A jury is still deliberating on Real Housewives cast member Caren Huger's DUI charges. Fox 5's Lee Zing live in Rockville tonight at the courthouse with the latest. Lee.
Hey, Kenneth, good evening to you. Yeah, 3 hours in and still no verdict from this jury. Now, during closing arguments today, the state made a point to say that this is what they called a very simple case for this jury. However, the defense argued the exact opposite, saying that in their opinion, this is a case that is filled with doubt. Now,
all right. We're going to throw to you, Attorney Carter. Tell me this. Number one, what is going on with all the Bravo celebrities? It seems like every week a Bravo in the Real Housewives franchise is in trouble with the law. Is this part of the storyline or something? But in this case, how serious is this of an offense for Caren, especially in the state of Maryland where DUI laws are extremely, extremely strict?
Yeah, this is a problem, and it's probably more of a problem. She's making it more of a problem than it is. Normally, if you have a DUI, your first offense, and you don't hurt anyone, in this case, she hurt the hell out of that tree. But for the most part, everybody else was fine. You can go through a diversion program. You agree to go to AA for a while. You get fined. They might take your car, whatever it is, but you avoid jail time for the most part. But when you decide, in her case, that you're going to take this to trial, and there isn't a lot of a defense, well, I shouldn't say it. Her defense is basically, one, we shouldn't be able to use any of the evidence they have about her being drunk. And the only evidence they have is the body cam and the officer's testimony that she was impaired at the time because she refused to take the breathalyzer. And she says, hey, you can't use that evidence because you didn't read me my Miranda rights. When you put me under arrest, and they say, no, you weren't under arrest. We were just asking you questions. And so the judge agreed and said, no, you're not under arrest, and you don't get your Miranda rights until they have detained you. So, her argument is going to be challenging there. It seems like that's the entire extent of her argument, is that you can't use evidence against me. And in fairness to her, if they can't use the evidence, there is no other evidence because she refused to take the breathalyzer. Now, I want to get some other attorneys' idea on this because it almost seems, in one sense, maybe that's what you should do. Not refuse to take the breathalyzer, but there are administrative penalties. You'll lose your license, right? You have other problems if you refuse to take the breathalyzer. Most times when you get your license, you agree. I will take the breathalyzer when it comes. And if you don't do that, then usually, like I said, you lose your license, you have fines and penalties. But I want the other attorneys to sort of weigh in on this. Is this a good strategy? To just
Attorney Weiss, you've done some DUIs before. What are your thoughts on this?
I've defended some DUIs before. I've never done DUIs, but I've defended them. And look, I tell my clients, keep their mouths closed. Try not to breathe. Try not to speak. Try not to say anything. And if you believe that you are potentially under the influence and you were driving under the influence, first of all, shame on you. You shouldn't be, especially with you got all that money. Somebody could be driving you around, or an Uber is not that expensive. But second of all, keep your mouth shut. And if you are, the penalty of losing your license for a year is much less harsh than going ahead and spending time behind bars and paying massive fees. And like Sean Carter said, I would also recommend, volunteer to get into a diversion program, take the steps, get counseling, get treatment. The court will look at all of that in sentencing and whatever. But again, keep your mouth shut. Don't breathe in the officer's face. If you refuse that breathalyzer, that is fine. And get your attorney on speed dial to meet you at the scene and or to meet you down at the station.
Attorney Turner, let me ask you this, because I've heard that in some cases and in some states it's so strict that if you are, especially in her case, she ran off the road, right? She crossed a median, she hit a tree. Is there any space here for her to be possibly liable for reckless endangerment?
I would ask a different question, whether or not she has some potential liability under any legal theory, because I do think that there are some theories that could attach to what she did. She damaged property. So, she could be found liable for whatever the repair is for the property that she damaged. The reckless endangerment one would be a function of whether anybody else was around that whom she endangered. I know there were witnesses to what happened, but I'm not sure that anybody was viewed to be like a potential victim. And so from that perspective, I'm not sure about the reckless endangerment, but she's got a lot of things that could be a function of this. You asked the question about, and we were tossing around whether people should refuse breathalyzers. And I think that probably depends on how drunk are you, right?
Really?
Well, yeah, because as Attorney Weiss was talking about, there are certain penalties that attach under the statutes of states if you refuse a breathalyzer, because part of the condition of you having a license from the state is you agree to being a safe driver and whatever test that they ask you to do if you're suspected of being under.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I got to tell you, I didn't know that. Algorators, people who are watching the show, did you know that? Did you know when you signed your license that you were signing to agree to take the breathalyzer test? I had no clue. Did they teach that in driver's ed or something?
They do teach that in driver's ed. I could tell you that because of the fact that my daughter, who will be 15 in a handful of days, we were studying for her test together, and that was one of the things here in the state of Florida.
Clearly, this judge slept right through that one. All right, so this is a question I want to ask all of the viewers. All right, here's the $1 million question for you. We're going to call you the jury of public opinion. Should celebrities face harsher penalties? All right, this is for everyone that's watching. Go down in the chat. Should celebrities face harsher penalties for crimes like DUIs to set an example? Because that's what the attorney is arguing. Or is it unfair to hold them to a higher standard? Oh, this is a good one. That's a good question. So what do you guys think? Should celebrities, let me read it to you again, everyone in the chat. Should celebrities face harsher penalties? Yes or no? For crimes like DUIs to set an example? And is it unfair to hold them to a higher standard? Let's see what the chat says. No, they are role models. Yes, I guess they are. You're right. They are kind of role models. They are, and we're friends. Okay, fire. If you do not sign, you will go to jail. Yes, because they have money to make better decisions. I'm broke. Tony Clark said no. Shatan says, hey, everybody. SL says no. Kendra Jones says no. All right, so let me ask the second question then. Because of, they're saying that she's being targeted. Does Karen's arrest reveal a double standard? Yes or no? Do you think if she was a man or not a black woman, would the media and legal system treat her differently? Because that's one of her arguments, is that because she's a black female celebrity and a part of the media, the legal system is treating her a different way. What do you guys think? Go down in the chat and let me know.
I'd like to, I was going to chime in there too.
Yeah.
Huh?
Can I comment on this as the only black woman in this conversation? I mean, come
Sure.
on, Karen. I like you. You seem like you'd be fun to hang out with. If we have a drink, we'll just do it at the house. But come on. She went over a median and caused damage. She's not being targeted as a black woman. She's being targeted as a drunk driver. She drew attention to herself, and that is why she is under these charges. If it were a minor kind of transgression, like we've talked about other people who are asleep in their car and drunk, and then they got all those things, those I think are a little bit harsh, because it seems like they're trying to do the right thing, sleeping it off in the car, and should they be arrested, yes or no? But she actually caused property damage, and even though I wasn't embracing your theory of reckless endangerment, because I'm not sure who's around, and that's how the charge would have to flow, I do think that she was a menace to everyone who was on the road that day.
Right.
There was something about a deer jumped out, but I don't think that theory was supported.
Yeah, I don't think that deer. Okay, so this is. I think what they mean is, when's the last time you've seen a news crew outside of a courthouse on a regular person getting a DUI? Right. It's like it doesn't happen, right? Like you're not getting all this media coverage if you were a regular Joe Smo. So I think maybe that could be the lean in on that. Tanya Crowder says she looks like a man, so no. Ooh, Tanya. Right.
Let's forget the fact that she's driving a Maserati that veered off the road. So you're not targeting the car either, right? Right.
All right. Sonny Clark says, have anyone on the panel had a DUI? Sonny said, I have not. And luckily, it's not because I don't like to drink. It's because I try to be smart and have a driver. I don't really drive. So let's see. Exactly, Shatan. And this isn't her first time. That's right. It isn't her first time. JP Mills says she made her situation with her entitlement behavior. Oh, that's a good point, JP.
Beverly, no one's talking about this yet. The reason we have a lot of breathalyzer footage is because she was cursing, all right, the officer, the first responder, the tree out. She was cursing everybody, all right? And so you said, she was a black woman, if she was a black man, she wouldn't even be here for this.
Oh, yeah, I agree.
If you're a black man, you can't run around just cursing the cops out drunk and expect things going to work out for you, right?
I agree with that.
A sense of entitlement in the sense that she forgot she was black at that time because she just cursing the cops out and everybody out. And I don't even get that. By the way, here's the thing is, if I run into a tree, I've done my violence for the night. All right, I don't hit enough people. Ain't gonna make me be mad at nobody else. All right, I already been mad at the tree.
That's right. Like I would have been praying. I would have been thank you. It would have shook me to the point where I would have just shut up. I would have sat down. I would have said, "Can I call my attorney?" Mm-hmm. I don't care how drunk I was.
But she was drunk, and so clearly it didn't sober her up. But see, if I were her attorney, I would pull out that old Halle Berry defense. Remember when Berry was driving and she hit somebody and it was a hit and run, and then she went home and took a nap and she was up on charges. This was years ago. And they said she didn't know what she was doing, right? Caren hit a tree. What they should have said, she refused medical treatment at the time. And so you could have argued that she had a concussion and that her frontal lobe was damaged, and that is why she didn't have impulse control after she got stopped. That's what I would have argued. But
not bad. Not bad, counselor. I see why you're a professor of law. All right, next up, Megan Thee Stallion has filed for a restraining order against Tory Lanez, claiming harassment even while he's behind bars. This is so weird to me. Tory's team denies these allegations, but the legal implications are clear. This case could set a precedent on how courts handle incarcerated individuals' influence outside of prison walls. So let me go to you. I think we're going to Attorney Carter on this one, correct? No, we're going to Attorney Weiss.
I thought we were going to Carter, but okay.
Let's go,
Carter. We'll go to Carter. Okay, we'll go to Carter. So Carter. I thought restraining orders require concrete evidence of continued harassment. So talk to me about how is this possible? He's already in jail. How is she possibly getting a restraining order against him when he's in jail?
I know, but it's the Zelle. I look at this. It was amazing. So what they did was her lawyers went and found out that Lanez's daddy had sent 6 $3,000 Zelle transfers to the blogger. Okay. And so they're saying, we got to stop this. You paying them off, or paying her to harass this person for you. I was amazed. I was like, well, how did they even get that information? But it turns out in a civil case, you actually can file a subpoena that goes to the bank and says, hey, turn over the records here because we think this is going on. And sure enough, they found $18,000. So
no, not 18,000, not 18,000. I think it's 3,000.
3,000.
But it was 6 $3,000 transfers.
No, it was 6 transfers to a total of 3,000.
I apologize.
Yeah. No worries. So this is my question though. It's his dad that sent it to the blogger, right? And from my understanding, the payments were sent like back before the trial.
Yeah, you're right.
Okay, so my question is what is this restraining order doing? I try my best to understand her after watching her documentary. I keep saying this all the time. She's really just perplexed about this case and about this incident. But I don't understand how she's being granted a restraining order from a guy who's in prison.
So she doesn't have a restraining order right now. The restraining order went ahead and it expired during the trial and during everything. During the initial trial, the protective order issued during that trial expired. She got it prior to that because she talked about repeated trauma, re-victimization, and all of this. So now she's got no restraining order. My understanding is it's not until like the first 10 days of January when the restraining order hearing is going to be heard. So she's out there without a restraining order now. And if she was so concerned, why wasn't that something that was brought up during the trial, right? When you have a restraining order, you could ask for that as part of it. Your Honor, could you renew the restraining order? Can it be self-renewing? It could be like that. That's something that if you're so concerned during trial, you make sure you bring that up. Now that it's expired, she's living without a restraining order. I have a feeling the judge is going to say no restraining order. Sorry. That's my gut.
Abby NYC, the MM family, thank you. We're glad you decided to join us. I was wondering where you were. Good to see you here. Late is better than never. Okay, Attorney Shaitan, tell me, is a restraining... First of all, I didn't know that you could have a restraining order on someone who's in jail. And what kind of harm can he cause her from jail that the judge would say, okay, let's give her a restraining order?
What came first, the chicken or the egg? That's exactly the question, right? The fact that he's in jail doesn't preclude her from asserting that she's in need of a restraining order. So that's not an automatic disqualifier, but it is
against him.
Right. But it is counterintuitive that somebody who's behind bars could cause such potential harm to you that you would need a restraining order against them. And so that's going to be her uphill battle. It remains her burden to prove how he is a threat to her when he's in prison. I agree with Attorney Weiss that it's something that would have been better brought up in trial, but I guess she could argue ineffective counsel. It's the same thing that, the judges have said with Diddy, which is why he hasn't gotten bail, but his remedy for not being able to, intimidate witnesses is to remain in jail because the judge thinks that the jail is what will keep these people safe. So I think it's going to be really interesting with this Megan case. It confused me somewhat because, as you were pointing out, the individual that she has evidence to support this purported harassment is his father, right?
Mm-hmm.
Not him. And so one could argue that his father might need a restraining order against her, but Lorenz, he's in prison, like eating bread and drinking water, and probably not getting to her. People have put in the chat like, hey, get a life, Megan. He's living rent free in her head. And so I think that part of this is probably part of her therapy. Like a lot of therapists tell people to be clear with their boundaries and make sure that their transgressor knows that they can't get to them. This is an extreme case since he's incarcerated, and I don't believe he's going to get out until 2029. So why does she need it now?
Yeah, I just don't get. Now, Andria says that he's releasing music with her name in it, and he released another song days before she filed for the restraining order. Okay, the first restraining order was before court. But I think she said he's still out here releasing music about her from jail. It's harassment. I haven't heard that. Anybody else heard that he's still releasing music around her? Jeanette Hunter said Megan got issues.
I haven't heard that, but maybe Drake needs a restraining order against Kendrick Lamar.
Right, exactly.
People make songs. It's part of it. She makes songs, right?
Miss P said
order against the twerking.
Right. Miss P says Megan needs to sit down somewhere and stop trying to be relevant. Let me ask you this question, counselors, as it relates to precedents. That's what I want to go to. Should the justice system prioritize victim safety over prisoners' rights? Or does this set a dangerous precedent for those already serving time? Attorney Carter, you are a law school Harvard grad and teach law classes. What are your thoughts on this?
I'm not sure what prisoner rights we're trying to preserve here. Tory Lanez can still make all the toilet wine, all right, can do all the push-ups he wants. He just can't have his family members harassing Megan Thee Stallion.
But how can he control what his dad did? Because if you watch the trial, and listen, I'm not taking up for Tory Lanez. If you watch the trial, his dad was very, very involved and very much had his own opinion and his own, theories about why his son is being tried. What does that have to do with Tory Lanez?
Well, no, but here's the thing is, if his dad's doing this all on his own, the restraining order doesn't affect him at all. Right? It doesn't hurt him.
But no. Listen, hold on, counselor. The restraining order is against Tory Lanez.
I know, but what does it affect him? How does it affect him? What's it restraining him from doing? It's only saying don't call your daddy and tell her to and have her call and start messing with. He can do everything else he wants to do. So the idea is that the restraining order, it sounds like it's a restraint. It's not a restraint on anything but harassing this woman. You can do anything else you would otherwise do, and I don't see anything that's wrong. Now, I was wrong about the fact that it was only $3,000, and now I'm disgusted with everybody because if you're gonna buy me, you're gonna have to spend a little more than $3,000 to get my attention. That's ridiculous. All right, that was $500 a transfer. What she need, bus fare? All right, so I don't get the blogger either. What she's doing, and Dad. By the way, if you're out there, Dad, you need to be better, Dad. You're gonna have to. My daddy would bribe me for people for $10,000, $20,000. My daddy loved me. All right, you only bribe somebody for $3,000. I'm ashamed of you.
I think my question is still the same. My question is still the same, counselors. My question is still the same. I'm trying to figure out. He doesn't have anything to do with his dad's actions.
Maybe he does. Maybe he doesn't. And if he doesn't,
why
he
don't
doesn't have
you
a problem.
But
why doesn't she go after the dad?
Bingo. Why don't you add dad to the restraining order? If dad's the one that's doing it, get a restraining order. And it doesn't have to be tied into the criminal case, go in and do it in a separate case. It's not a problem.
I think if there's a secondary gain here, though, not a psychologist, but I think that those in the chat have highlighted it, is that she's kind of fixated on Tory Lanez. Like, he's serving.
I think so too.
I don't know that I would have the question be, you know, should we protect victims or should we protect prisoners' rights? Because I agree with Sean Carter, Attorney Carter, that there really are no prisoner rights are being violated. But I think the question may be, in this restraining order hearing, what are the limits of how far we will go to protect people who believe that they're at risk of harm? You know, I've done a lot of work for victims of domestic violence, so it's near and dear to me. But the notion of having the restraining order against somebody whose liberty is already restricted and they can't get out, that to me seems potentially that's going to be viewed differently by the judge when there's no evidence being promoted that the individual himself actually did anything against her. So I think that I would pose the question of what are the limits of what we will do for somebody who believes that they're a potential victim and the person who is the alleged perpetrator is already incarcerated for.
That's what I mean by prisoners' rights. Like, you're still attacking the man. He's behind bars. We don't have evidence that it's him directly, right? We're using evidence from a dad's Cash App, which we know the dad had a problem with her during the trial. He did press conferences after, you know, being in court. I'm just so confused because I'm wondering, the reason why this is like weighing heavily on me is because it just appears that he's serving his time. He was found guilty. He's serving his time. Why are we still beating him up? Like, why are we still making him out to be worse than he already is when he's already in jail?
Again,
go ahead.
I think the restraining order needs to not only be him. You got to get the restraining order on dad too. If dad is making a statement, then get the restraining order on him too. Open it up. It doesn't say you have to be the one sitting in jail in order to be restrained. Right. You're restraining the bad acting. The bad acting right now is dad. So get a restraining order against dad. File the extra $500 fee or no fee, and you know, go ahead and add it on to the hearing that's already scheduled for January 9th. Quickly file a quick motion. That's the way to do it.
I agree with you. I'm not sure they have jurisdiction over dad. Remember, they're Canadian.
Yeah.
Dad's in Canada.
He's in jail in the U.S. Okay. All right,
Ruth. Dad is in Canada.
The dad is in Canada. Okay. All right, Ruth Quanton, thank you for the message. All right, 147 and actually 165 are watching, but only 50 likes. Come on, everybody. Please hit the like button. Also, please hit the subscribe button. If you are already subscribed, please hit the share button. Invite some folks over to learn the law while we sit back and sip the tea on those celebrities who are in trouble with the law. Ruth Quadrant says, but only 50 likes. Why are you all watching if you're not going to support with a free like? I like you, Ruth. All right, next up, everybody. Now, this is a shocker for me. Chance the Rapper's wife, Kirsten Corley, has officially filed for divorce after months of separation. With 2 children in the mix and a long history together, the question now is, will this split remain amicable, or are we gearing up for a Hollywood-style courtroom showdown? Because, gosh, we know we have seen them. Attorney Turner, tell us, when children are involved, the court's primary focus is ensuring their well-being. Financial arrangements, custody battles, and media scrutiny can complicate even the most civil divorces. What say you?
Well, you know, this one, I have my usual things I have to say about divorce, but this one is interesting. It actually makes me kind of sad because when I was doing case. You know, they met when they were 9. They were childhood sweethearts. They've been together since they were really young. They had these babies. They got married. They were trying to make it work, and it just failed, right? It happens. And whenever it does, it's regrettable. To your question about the legal standards, so first you have the divorce itself, right? Will it be fault-based? Will it be no-fault divorce? They came out early and said that this was amicable and we're doing this together. That's what they said. They were going to commit to raising the children together. And so it sounded like, you know, as idyllic of a parting as one could imagine.
Okay.
But then life happens, right? That was in April. That was in April. And I know another couple separated in April. They might live in my house.
One of them.
Months transpire, right? Somebody might have a girlfriend, somebody might have a boyfriend, words have been exchanged. And so that initial statement, it doesn't sound like it's holding up. Now, it sounds like Kirsten's trying to be righteous because she's waiving maintenance and only seeking child support. And so it's the child custody proceedings where the best interest of the child is the standard. The divorce itself, you reference the kids, but the child custody is its own proceeding. And so her decision or her public statement about waiving maintenance
what the hell is that? That's not smart.
Well, she's saying it. So unless it could be part of prenup that she agreed to waive maintenance, I'm not sure. It could be that he has promised her to be generous with the child support, and so she's not seeking anything separate. I was surprised to read that myself. That's not my situation. Like, some people are married to people who are somewhat judgment proof in that regard, and so you can't get blood from a stone. But in this case, he's got means, right? And she's gotten used to living a certain lifestyle. So waiving the maintenance off top seemed to be an interesting choice to me.
Yeah, I don't understand that because he's got tons of money. They need a house for the kids to live in. I don't know why. I don't know why she would waive maintenance. All right, Danielle Cameron says this all came about because Chance took a chance, dancing a little too much with women in Jamaica. We saw that. You ain't hear that from me, Tanya. You so messy, Danielle. Tanya Kelly says Chan's wife said he's been hanging out with gay men. Well, his brother's gay, so he can't hang out with his brother. Death God said, I know for a fact Chance cheated many, many times. Oh, Death God, what you saying? For a fact means you were in that bedroom. Abby NYC, the MM family says she got a new $1 million man waiting in the wings. Yeah, if that's what it sounds like.
She needs to call me and tell me
how to get you one.
Exactly.
All right. No, you know, you haven't been with a celebrity. You have to be with a celebrity because everybody wants the backwash of the other celebrities. Deaf God says,
backwash.
Backwash. That's what we call it. They like the backwash. All right. Miss P said supposedly she found out that he liked a picture of a trans woman. His wife looks manly, so he has a type. You guys are holding no punches tonight. Oh, she does get beat up for that. I think, remember, he liked the trans and then unliked it. But look, I mean, come on. Is that a reason to liking a picture shouldn't cause a divorce? Where's the gay brother? Lee Wiley says, call me too. Where's the gay brother? Oh, God. Danielle Cameron says, what wing are these millionaires men at? Because I must be on the broken wing.
Well, that's right, Danielle.
Oh, God, Danielle, you're hilarious. All right, so let me ask the question. This is a question for the algoriters and for the viewers. Is it fair for celebrities to have to go through so much scrutiny in the public eye when they go through a divorce? Put in there, is it fair? Yes or no? Is it fair that we drag them and jump to conclusions and judge them so hard? Is that a part of being a celebrity, or you know, when you're a celebrity, you become fodder, so it just happens? Or is it fair that we always have an opinion about people? Because divorce is hard.
Divorce is hard, but our show is called the Celebrity Court of Public Opinion, so I think it's perfectly fair. Otherwise,
and look, you reap the benefits. You also have to take the lumps with it, right? You know, if you're a celebrity and they're opening up the door and you don't have to wait at a table for dinner, and you get to, you know, skip the line and you get to the comps, and well, when you're down.
What about the kids? What about the kids? I always say, what about the kids? Like, what about the person in my situation? My argument also, and Jason, you know, we've talked about it because you were helping me through my divorce. I wasn't a celebrity. So the backwash that I got, or the heat that I got for being married to a celebrity, she was the one that was making all the money. You know what I mean? You know, I wasn't. So the backlash cost me jobs. You know what I mean? It cost me jobs. Like, people didn't, you know, at the time I was a professor, it was hard. Like, is there a solution to it though? I guess it's the question.
Well, I think, look, when you make the decision to get yourself into the limelight, you need to remember that there's going to be highs and there's going to be lows.
Right.
And you just need to go into everything with your eyes wide open. And that's the only thing that you could do. Look, we can't control the public. We can't control what people are saying. Hopefully the public will not, you know, do things to upset the kids and to do all this, but you never know. You know, look at what Meghan is going through, you know, with the dad in Canada. So it's just, you know, grass is always greener on the other side. You live a quiet life, you keep to yourself. Maybe you don't get the opportunities. You live in the limelight, you're in the glitz and the glamour. You get the opportunities, but you got to be ready for, you know, the people judging you and being jealous of you and hating on you.
well,
Attorney Turner, let me go to you real quick. What would you do different? What would you do different before your marriage, now that you know that you're exiting it?
oh, that's a loaded question for another day.
Legally, how would you protect yourself?
Well, so the reason I'm hedging on that a little bit is because it's not final and we're still into strategy.
Okay.
So that would touch on like my potential strategy.
Okay, got it. We don't have to talk about it.
But no, what I would say is that everybody who goes into a marriage should do so with their eyes open. So in your situation, marrying a public figure, right? That might be something to factor into the prenup. Like, what's the premium that you get? Because if this goes south, then you might have all this other scrutiny. And so all people before they get married should really take an assessment of what they personally have to gain and or lose by entering into the marriage, and what happens if it doesn't last. And that should actually be done with your eyes open. We stigmatize it so much because we say, well, if you, like we talked about Matumbo, right? If you want somebody to sign a prenup, all of a sudden that means you don't love them. Well, no, it actually can just mean that you're a planner. And so that's something you could do. But one thing I wanted to point out that Attorney Weiss said a couple shows ago had to do with defamation, right? The law actually does have a mechanism for considering whether someone's a public figure or not. And it basically says you signed up for this, and as a result, you don't necessarily have the same rights that other people do.
Yes, that's correct.
So with celebrities and relationships, once they decide to make their relationship public, then there's a lot of things that flow. Some celebrities don't. Like, you rarely see Kerry Washington's husband anywhere. She doesn't talk about her marriage. They're not on the red carpet together. Like, she makes a decision to keep it private. So if they get divorced, nobody will probably care, right? But if you're parading your spouse around and saying, this is part of my brand, then everybody's interested. And so I will say that on my blog, if people ever go there and visit, it's the tagline was a working mom on a quest for balance and stilettos. You can see all of these pictures of me and my ex, and I've thought about taking it down because what am I going to do? But it's part of my kids' story, and so it's on there. But yeah, people have been like, oh, you know, making all kinds of comments because I chose to make that part of my brand. And so
gotcha.
I might not have done that in the same way.
All right. Thank you so much. All right, everybody. Next up, Gospel singer Leandrea Johnson, oh my goodness, not again, has been arrested for public intoxication, adding to her history of struggles with alcohol. Fans are divided, though. They want to know, is this behavior unbecoming of someone in her position, or should the public show more compassion for her personal challenges? Now, public intoxication is a misdemeanor in most states, but for someone in Leandria's position, the court of public opinion can be far more unforgiving. Attorney Weiss, talk to me about this case.
So first of all, look, public intoxication, it's kind of a victimless crime, right? There was no harm. She wasn't behind the wheel of a car, and anything there. And it's an illness, right? It needs to be treated. There's mental health problems, there's addiction problems. And I understand, look, she's a public figure, and she's supposed to be a role model, but look, not every role model for our kids needs to be someone that fits in a specific spot or fills a specific image.
Right.
She is taking accountability. She's not running from it. She is continuing a journey towards sobriety. And I think that's very important. And it will allow the youth and other people to say, look, this is someone who is so entrenched in God and worship and religion. And, she stepped out and she, did something. She has a problem. She's dealing with it. And I think the community should be supportive of it. Again, it's a victimless crime. She has alcohol problems. She has abuse problems. And it's something that she's admitted to. It's not like she's ashamed. I mean, she's not happy about it, but she's not hiding it, and she's getting ahead of it, and she's getting there. And someone just posted, we all fall down and we get up, right? We learn from the failures. We learn.
That's a song.
Yeah, but we learn, right? If everything in your life was going phenomenal, you're not going to learn. You learn when you get knocked down, you brush yourself off, and you get back up ready to do it again. Just don't do the same thing again. Learn from your mistakes. And that's the message that I think it's there. She's going to say, look, I have a problem. I'm getting help with it. It's a sickness. It's an illness. And, I'm praying on it, and I'm asking for forgiveness, and I'm going to be strong through this. And everybody will follow my lead.
JP Mills says, child, right now, she needs more than prayer. Ooh, that's pretty tough. Abby NYC, the MM family says, it's prohibition for role models. Interesting. Lee Wiley says, as Christians, we have to be there and help her be who and what she needs. This is the issue. Is she under, algoriters and viewers, is she under extra scrutiny because both of her parents are pastors, right? Her dad's a bishop. Her mother is a pastor. She grew up in the church. She started, singing at 2 or 3. And I think who read somewhere that she started drinking at a very young age. Do we have a double standard for her, algoriters and people watching? Do we have a double standard for her because she comes from the church and because her parents are, so godly that we have an expectation of her being the same? So she's not allowed, to do sin.
I also look, when I was in college, I was a resident assistant, and the students that came there and lived in the freshman dorm where I was, working and stationed, the ones that their family and their parents gave them a little bit more freedom, those were the ones that really never got into trouble. It's the ones that led such a straight and narrow, in bed at 10 and lights out at 10:30 and never drinking and never did. Those are the ones that went wild. So maybe some of it, and again, I don't know, had to do with maybe there was a stricter upbringing and now she's experimenting. But again, I don't think she should be held to a higher standard than anybody else.
Really? Attorney Carter, you're really quiet over there. What are your thoughts on this?
I'm still trying to get over the fact that Kerry Washington is married.
Oh my gosh.
That was my hall pass, damn it. And now I got to get a new hall pass. So damn you, Kerry Washington, your husband.
She just never took us anywhere.
Now, aside from that, though, in this case, and I think there's a different view of this. I totally understand. You guys are absolutely right. We should have compassion, particularly in the church. No one should understand falling more than this. But here's the problem I have with it. She got arrested for public intoxication. To get arrested for public intoxication, you don't just have to be drunk. You also got to be kind of a jerk about it. All right. In this case, she was yelling at people, causing a commotion. They don't arrest you for just being, if you run around hugging people and saying, I love you, they don't arrest you for that. And part of the thing I think about is that a mean drunk, I'm always surprised by that because I've always been the lovey drunk. All right. And so I'm like, there's something underlying that. And what the alcohol does is it frees you to be the jerk you otherwise wanted to be. And I think you need to get, if you're the mean drunk, you need to get help. There is something going on with you because, like I said, I'm under the influence. I'm kissing everybody. Okay.
Too.
Yeah, exactly. And so I think there's some underlying situation. We hopefully she gets some help. The drugs and alcohol are it, but also think about it. You know, she got drunk and when her inhibitions fell, the first thing she did is start cursing out everybody in the restaurant, including the man she was with. That to me is a bigger problem.
Okay.
But that
So
might
what's the remedy, counselors? Like if she's getting arrested over and over and over, we have all these cases around her. Can the court send her to some type of rehab?
They can.
Yeah.
That's often part of the sentencing to try to help people right this ship, especially in this victimless crime where it could help, just make her a nicer person. I mean, her Iyanla Fix My Life, that's all about trying to get people on the right path. So it's a significant problem. But I wanted to touch on what you brought up about her being at the church and potentially the double standard. I don't know if people are judging her more harshly because her parents were pastors. I think people are judging her harshly because her brand is tied to being a Christian. And there's this misconception that Christians are more than human, right? Because the gospel is supposed to heal you of all of your demons. And they preach every Sunday about how if you only have Jesus, right, then you will have a wonderful life. And clearly, either she's singing about Jesus and she don't got Jesus, or you need more than Jesus, as somebody said in the chat, to cure alcoholism or to help you manage it. And I think that people should show her grace because Christians are not more than human. They're humans too. And we have so many examples throughout history and recently. Kirk Franklin, he was a porn addict, right? And there are all of these things that people who are Christians suffer from the same maladies as everybody else. The question is, what do they rely upon when they have those hard times? And can they do what Attorney Weiss said, which is get up, dust themselves off, go and do it again and repent?
Right. I think in this case, as a judge here, public opinion, my opinion is she needs to have mandatory rehab. Because this has been going on for decades with her. So we know that it's a disease, right? Clearly. We know that she's been struggling with it for a very, very long time. And it just does not seem to be working, whatever she's done in the past. I think somehow, some way, maybe some type of program which holds her a little bit more accountable and forces her to go through what she needs to go through in order to rehab herself to try to get help. I just don't know what's going to stop her if she's done that in the past. Like, I always get worried that when someone like this who has this disease and who's habitually an alcoholic, I think about them not only harming other people, but harming themselves. I always worry that I'm going to wake up and read about them, something happening, and they're going to their glory. So I don't know what we can.
That's why the grace has to come in, because if she believes the world is not a safe place for who she is because she has this disease, then that can result in people turning to
doing bad things. Okay. All right. Really quick before we move on, in the chat, throw in the chat, everyone. Are you a happy drunk? Or are you a mean drunk? Are you a happy drunk or are you a mean drunk? I'm going to throw my comment in. I am a very happy drunk. If you ever seen me out.
Yeah, we saw it, Your Honor. We seen it.
I am a very happy drunk. But anyway, that's another conversation. All right, closing today's docket. Jay-Z's attorney has clarified he's made it very clear that Jay-Z and Sean Diddy Combs aren't close friends, amidst serious allegations against Diddy. Counselors, is this a savvy PR move, or is Jay-Z proving there's no loyalty in the entertainment industry? Now, public distancing is a common strategy, we all know, counselors, when one party faces controversy, but it often comes at the expense of personal relationships. Attorney Carter, what are your thoughts on this distancing from Jay-Z and his family?
I mean, obviously, and everybody is doing that. We see that. I saw Will Smith the other day in a rap concert, interrupt the concert in the middle of getting jiggy with it, and said, "Look, I wasn't getting Diddy with it." And everybody who's ever known Diddy, except for you, Your Honor, somehow it seems to have been pretending like they never been to the Diddy party. Diddy's not gonna have no friends. Everybody is pretending like Diddy who? I got to tell you, it's certainly smart. I think he's got some good arguments there in the sense that in recent years, I imagine he has distanced himself, right? This is a guy who's become a family man. He's been doing things separately. Their early days together, and I don't know exactly how close they were, but they might have been a little closer, too close for comfort. And so he's going to try to distance himself as far as possible.
Attorney Weiss, does Jay-Z owe Diddy public support, or is it a smart business move to protect its brand at all costs?
I think it's a smart business move to protect his brand. And I also think, Jay-Z is actually, he's being counseled on this, and his attorneys are telling him, look, if you have nothing to do with him, distance yourself. You don't want to be tied in. You don't want to be there. Look, there's going to be a lot of dominoes falling. There's going to be a lot of chips falling. There's going to be a lot of fallout from all this. And I think everybody's going to start distancing themselves from P. Diddy. Truthfully or not truthfully, I think everybody's just going to try to get away because the government's going to be throwing a very, very, very wide net. And I think a lot of people are going to,
especially as May gets closer. Shaitan, is the entertainment industry too quick to abandon its own when scandal arises? Or do you feel like accountability demands this kind of distancing?
Your Honor, I am not surprised. They denied Jesus, right? This is what people do. When they think it's not good for them, they turn on you. So this is entirely predictable. It's not an entertainment issue. It has been done since AD, right? All
right. Okay, got it. All right, this is a part of the show, everybody. Please hit that like button. Also, hit that subscribe button. If you're already subscribed, please hit that share button. Invite some people over here to witness our craziness as we break down these legal cases and teach you the law. Also, turn on your notifications. And as always, we really appreciate you down in the comments. Now we're going to go to the jury and answer the questions that the jury has. So first up, Danielle Cameron. Thank you all so much, Danielle, for always participating. Karen's case is filled with tons of Casamigos, but doubt. No. Danielle Cameron must be a comedian. Danielle Cameron says, "Oh, Caren, ma'am, were you drunk? Yes or no?" I think we know the answer to that. Tanya Croder says, "Will Caren be punished by Bravo?" It appears not, because this is what brings more heat and eyes to the show, and that's what they're looking for. Lee Wiley, community service at a drug and rehab house, maybe for Leandrea. And Danielle Cameron says, "Your Honor, it was just communion. Check her purse for those tiny crackers." It was just water. It's not her fault. Jesus turned it into wine. I am done, Danielle. I am done. All right, this is a part of the show that we do the recap and we get our verdicts from our legal beagles. First up, is Caren Huger guilty or not guilty of not participating with law enforcement when asked to do her breathalyzer? Attorney Carter, what say you?
She's guilty by virtue of being a real housewife. Every one of them is guilty of something. And every show, right, somebody is going to jail. And I don't get this because my wife has been a housewife for 32 years and not once, she didn't get a speeding ticket. And these women are getting arrested every Thursday. I don't get how you can be rich and in a big old house and somehow you can't stay out of jail. All right, this is ridiculous. So
making all that money.
And everybody in Potomac Housewives need to go with her.
Okay, Attorney Weiss.
I think Bravo and all those channels are sending her the alcohol, and they want to see all that. So I think she's guilty of drinking the fruit punch.
All right, Attorney Turner.
I think Attorney Weiss is right. I mean, being drunk may be in her contract as a requirement. It seems like they always be drunk on those Real Housewives shows. But yeah, she's guilty, but she's not going to have any strict penalties, and hopefully she learns her lesson because she could have been very hurt.
All right, I'm Al Reynolds, and I'm the judge here in Celebrity Court. And let me tell you something. You guys know I've been on a number of reality shows. I've been on the Terrell Owens show. I've been on Basketball Wives. I've been on Atlanta Housewives. And you're right. While you're filming, you're drinking the whole time. They have tons of alcohol for you all the time because they want your inhibitions to go down so that they can get some good footage. So with that, we're going to find Caren Huger guilty. Guilty of drinking too much. And also the sad part is driving while under the influence. Caren, make better decisions. You make so much money. You're the grand dame and you are a role model. Please do better. Next up, is Tory Lanez guilty or not guilty of harassing Megan Stallion to the point where she needs a restraining order? Attorney Carter, what say you?
Oh, I don't, like you said, I'm not sure that he is necessarily responsible for it, but quite frankly, if that's the only restraint he has, that he can't bother Megan anymore, I'm fine with it.
Is he guilty or not guilty?
He's guilty.
All right, Attorney Turner.
I think he's not guilty for right now. I need more information. I don't see anything tying him directly to anything that has to do with Megan since he's been in prison.
All right, Attorney Weiss.
This whole thing still just blows my mind. I think she needs to just turn her sights on something else and get the restraining order against that if you can in Canada. I say let the man just rot in jail.
Yeah. All right. I'm Alan. I'm the judge here in Celebrity Court. I'm going to find Tory Lanez not guilty. And I really, 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 really want Megan to get over this and find solemn. But if the dad is harassing you, then try to get the restraining order on the dad. All right. Next up, Chance the Rapper. Is he guilty or not guilty of cheating on his wife? Attorney Carter, what say you?
By the way, this wasn't even evidence. I had to go look this up outside of this. He only got caught with a picture dancing slow. I'm going to a holiday party for a big organization tomorrow night, so I'm gonna say not guilty.
All right, Attorney Weiss.
I still can't get past the fact that someone put in the comments that he has a type and she's very manly looking. So every time you put that picture up there, that's all I see. Look, I hope they do what's best for the kids, and hopefully they will both be not guilty of being bad parents. They will both be great, not unguilty or not guilty, and take care of those kids and make sure they're protected.
All right, Attorney Turner.
Here's the thing the algoriters need to learn about how Chance got caught and got caught up. Photographs, videos, and text messages eliminate your ability to have plausible deniability. So, Attorney Carter, do not have anybody take a picture of you at that party tomorrow if you dancing closely with somebody who's not your wife. And Chance is guilty. The photo was the evidence.
All right, I'm Alan. I'm the judge here in the Court of Public Opinion. We're going to find Chance guilty of
not using Snapchat.
Yeah. Guilty of not being smart. I don't know. Guilty. This is crazy. Just guilty. All right, next up. Gospel singer Leandrea Johnson. Is she guilty or not guilty of her public intoxication? Attorney Turner, what say you?
She's guilty.
Attorney Weiss?
Guilty of being a mean drunk.
Attorney Carter?
That's it. But we wish her,
guilty or not guilty? Guilty, not guilty.
She's guilty, but I've already forgiven her. Me and Jesus.
All right, I'm Alan. I'm the judge here in the Court of Public Opinion. We're going to find Leandrea Johnson guilty, but we want her to get some help because we really love her, and her song does impact. Her voice does touch millions. So, Leandrea, from here, all of us here at Celebrity Court, please, please, please get the help that you need. And anybody else who needs help, make sure you get the help that you need. Last up, is Jay-Z guilty or not guilty of distancing himself from a long time, decade-long friend, P. Diddy? Attorney Carter, what say you?
Oh yeah, he's guilty. I love the fact that rappers always talk about ride or die, but they don't really. They mean ride until you
They
get
not
arrested.
right. They definitely not dying with you, Attorney Carter. I mean, Shatan Turner, Attorney Turner.
I agree with Attorney Carter. Yeah, they're ride or die when they're broke. Jay-Z's got so yeah, he's guilty of turning his back, and he'd do it again.
Abby NYC, the MM family says fair weather in the storm. Attorney Weiss, what say you?
He's guilty on turning his back on his boy.
Yeah, I'm Alan. I'm the judge here at Celebrity Court. If we're gonna find Jay-Z guilty, he denied P. Diddy like Peter denied Christ. Guilty, Jay-Z, guilty, 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 guilty. All right, everybody. Today's cases reminds us that fame doesn't grant immunity. From Caren Huger's DUI to Megan's fight for safety, these stories reveal the complicated intersection of celebrity, law, and accountability. But let's not forget, you're the jury here. What's your opinion? Drop down in the chat and let us know. Stay tuned, stay vocal, and keep those opinions coming. Thanks for joining us here on Celebrity Court, where no headline goes unchecked. See you next time. Same place, same gavel. Court is now adjourned.